This is another one of my new comic book pickups, and this time it's of The Flash 2022 annual. And this is based on the Wally West Flash with his wife Linda Park. Now, I think I may have said this in other videos before. As we know, there's been different iterations of the Flash. We've had Jay Garrick, we've had Barry Allen, we've had Wally West, even Bart Allen as the Flash for a short term, and even Jesse Quick at one point. But for me, I grew up on the Wally West Flash. That was my era. Although I knew of Barry Allen, and I did read quite a lot of the stuff, but I'm more associated and tied in when it comes to the comic collection of the Wally West Flash. Obviously, when Barry died in Crisis on Earth, and that was in 1985, and then Wally West at the time was his sidekick, Kid Flash, and then he became the modern age Flash. So, and then it was written under different writers. One of my favorites was Mark Waid, who I really loved. I mean, I might do a video on my love for the Wally West Flash in a separate video, because obviously I do a little bit of research on the different comic book artists and writers that have been on this and on the comics of the Flash. And then obviously in 2000 they brought back Barry Allen under the story, was it Flash Rebirth? I think that was Jeff Johns, I think. I'm trying to remember. And then after that, Barry Allen became the main Flash, and then for a good few years now, right, they kind of phased out the Wally West Flash, and then to a point when they almost got rid of him. And for me, they kind of treated him like crap, and then they brought him back, kind of as Kid Flash. But then obviously, as we know, he was married and had 2 kids, so they kind of did this weird storyline with them being lost. And then there was a storyline where they said that that Wally West had killed some of the DC comic superheroes, which again they did Wally West dirty in the way they kind of treated him, which I was not a fan of. And then it's only of recently where they've kind of and then obviously they had to redo the story as to say it wasn't his fault as to why he was made to kill those DC characters. And he obviously was even put in prison, and then they were treated like a criminal. And I think a lot of people like myself were upset, because obviously we grew up on the Wally West Flash, and then they just treated him, the DC, I'll sit and be honest, the DC comics treated him like crap. And it's only of recently that they've made him the Flash again for a while, brought his wife back and his kids, which I thought, thank God they've just done him a bit of justice. And you know, you are allowed to make mistakes and you can amend them, but I'm just glad to see him back. And then they did a little bit of alterations on his suit, especially on the cowl, and then they made the suit slightly darker. So I'm just really glad that they brought him back, because there was a African American Wally West, and the way that the DC dealt with that in having both of them now. So you've got the original Wally West, he's Wally West, and then the other one, the African American one is he's Kid Flash, but I think they just call him Wallace West. So although Wally West, his real name is Wallace West anyway, but the way they kind of dealt with it, so they've kept everything kind of happy. So and then made the Flash from it bigger, and then even brought back Bart Allen as well. Obviously he was Kid Flash, but I think now he's just Impulse now. So yeah, for me, I've kind of loved the way they've kind of fixed everything now. So it kind of where everybody's happy, whether you're an old Flash fan or a new Flash fan. So yeah, we've got like the artwork here. I mean, again, this looks kind of great. We've got they have it for Sandman on Netflix. I'm virtually halfway through it and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I just said I'd recommend watching it. So as you can see, you've got Wally West here, obviously distinctive by his ginger hair, and then his wife Linda Parker, who's a reporter, And then obviously you've got Wallace West, obviously as Kid Flash. So obviously they've kept him in continuity, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm really kind of loving the artwork, and again I'm loving the actual colours that are being used in the actual inking. I'm trying to see if they've got his eyes right, because normally he's supposed to have green eyes. There was this story, which again I'll have to dig up so I can find it, where a new Flash appears in town, and he's got a completely different suit. And then when he finally reveals his help, takes off his cowl, it's Wally West, but he's a lot older, and he's got a scar on his face, and you kind of think, what the hell's going on? And I remember reading that for the first time in the late, I think it's the mid-90s, and I thought, and then it gave you a close-up of his eyes, and his eyes were blue, and I was like, hang on a minute, aren't Wally West's eyes supposed to be green? And then obviously there's a twist in as to why of what's going on in that story, and it's a very interesting story. But we'll get to that sometime later on down in the future, and then I'll explain why I loved that particular storyline, and I wish that particular Flash, why I wish we'd seen more of that particular character. But we'll get to that when we'll get to that in that video, when I can put all the comics together. Obviously we've got an advert here for Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. That looks kind of interesting there. I've got Linda Park here. It looks like she's writing a novel, and then Wally West is reading it. So we're seeing the written novel in comic form from our perspective, I suppose. Obviously Wally West is reading. You can see Megan, he's got short hair, and then he's reading the story that his wife's wrote. Linda Park West, because obviously they're married. So again, I'm loving the colours, the oranges and the reds and the deep blacks. Really, that's the one thing that obviously I know you can buy comics in digital form, but that's the one thing that you can't beat. Thumbing through the physical media of the comics, rather than obviously if you've got an iPad or a computer, you can check out that there's nothing but being able to see the comics in person. Obviously he's still reading the story. I don't know what colour they've done his eyes. It's hard to kind of tell. But yeah, I'm just really glad to see. That's Abracadabra there. I recognise him. There's Linda Parkin. But yeah, that's the Flash 2022 annual. So yeah, that's kind of like great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to read this through properly, and I know I'm going to enjoy it. And as I said before, having Wally West back is kind of cool. So I hope DC Comics learn from their mistakes this time. Anyway, I hope people found this video informative, and feel free to like and to share, because it helps me, and people find me on YouTube. It's also been a small time YouTuber, so please like the video if you can. It takes less than a second. And if you already haven't, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care, bye for now, and stay safe.